Update: the Young and the Restless spoilers suggest that Michael Baldwin is about to step into another brutal legal war in Genoa City, and this time the stakes may be more personal than ever. Michael has defended difficult clients before, challenged powerful enemies, and walked into courtrooms where the truth was buried beneath lies, fear, and manipulation. But Diane Jenkins Abbott's upcoming crisis could test every part of his legal mind and personal loyalty. During the week of July 6th to July 10th, Diane's world appears ready to collapse when she finds her husband, Jack Abbott, bleeding on the floor of the Abbott mansion after a terrifying chain of events involving Patty Williams and Dr. Lawrence Markham. What should have been the end of Diane's nightmare may instead become the beginning of an even darker one, because Patty, the woman who truly committed the crime, seems prepared to twist the story and frame Diane as the attacker. That creates the perfect opening for Michael to return to the center of the drama, not simply as a lawyer, but as the one person who may be able to prevent Diane from being buried under a mountain of false evidence, emotional suspicion, and one very dangerous lie. Diane's crisis begins with an image that would shake anyone to the core: Jack Abbott, the man she loves, lying wounded and bleeding inside his own home. This is not just a medical emergency. It is the emotional explosion of everything that Patty has been building. Jack and Kyle Abbott had already risked themselves to save Diane from Patty's wicked scheme, and their bravery may have pushed Patty into a corner. Patty's obsession with Jack, her hatred of Diane, and her willingness to manipulate everyone around her have created a situation where Diane becomes the easiest target. Diane is the wife with a complicated past. Diane is the woman many people in Genoa City still distrust. Diane is the woman who has lied, schemed, and survived scandals before. Patty knows that history can be weaponized, and that is exactly what makes the frame-up so dangerous. She does not need Diane to look innocent. She only needs Diane to look guilty enough for the police to stop asking better questions. When Diane finds Jack bleeding, her panic is real. Her horror is real. Her love for Jack is real. But in a town like Genoa City, perception often moves faster than truth, and by the time Diane starts screaming for help, Patty may have already prepared the lie that could destroy her. Patty Williams' claim that Diane stabbed her own husband would be outrageous if anyone looked at the full story clearly. But that is the problem. Chaos rarely allows people to think clearly. The Genoa City Police Department may see a wounded Jack, a frightened Diane at the scene, a weapon or evidence that appears to connect back to her, and a witness willing to point the finger. Detective James Burrow may have to decide whether he believes what is directly in front of him or digs deeper into the strange history surrounding Patty's behavior. A smart detective should be suspicious immediately. Patty kidnapped Diane. Patty blackmailed Jack. Patty had motive, access, and a long history of unstable decisions connected to Jack and the Abbott family. But this is still Genoa City, where investigations can be clouded by convenient evidence and where the most obvious suspect is not always the guilty one. Patty's plan may depend on the police doing exactly what she expects them to do: arrest first, doubt later, and let Diane's reputation do the rest of the work. If Diane is dragged into custody while Jack is unconscious and unable to defend her, Patty gains precious time. She can hide, shift blame, and prepare the next move before anyone understands how carefully she has constructed the trap. The involvement of Dr. Lawrence Markham could make the situation far more complicated for Michael. Patty's accusation is one thing, but if Markham confirms her story, Diane could face a much more serious problem. A doctor can appear credible. A doctor can sound calm, professional, and believable to police and prosecutors. Markham may know exactly how to speak in a way that makes Diane look unstable, desperate, or dangerous. The fact that Diane drugged him while trying to escape could become a weapon against her, even if she did it because she was trapped and had no other choice. Markham may feel humiliated, betrayed, and emotionally rejected by Diane. If he developed feelings for her, her escape may have wounded his pride and turned his affection into resentment. That kind of wounded ego can be extremely dangerous, especially when combined with Patty's revenge. Markham may claim he saw signs that Diane was losing control. He may suggest she manipulated him. He may imply that Diane was capable of violence because she was desperate to protect herself. Even if his testimony is false or distorted, it could still carry weight because prosecutors and police may view him as a professional witness rather than a bitter man with his own reasons to lie. This is where Michael Baldwin becomes essential. Diane may be frightened, furious, and emotionally shattered, but Michael knows how to separate panic from proof. He will understand that the case against Diane may look strong on the surface while still being rotten underneath. Michael is not naive about Diane's past. He knows better than anyone that Diane has made enemies and given people reasons to mistrust her. But he also knows that a controversial past does not equal present guilt. That distinction may become the foundation of his entire defense. Michael does not need to convince the entire town that Diane is perfect. He needs to show that Patty had motive, that Markham had motive, that the timeline does not hold, and that Diane's actions after finding Jack are consistent with shock and fear, not guilt. He may begin by examining every detail of the mansion scene. Who had access? Where was Patty at the time? How did the alleged weapon end up where it was found? Were there signs of a struggle that matched Diane's physical movements, or signs that someone else staged the scene? Did Diane call for help immediately? Did Jack say anything before losing consciousness? Were there security cameras, phone records, hospital logs, or messages that could expose Patty's movements before and after the attack? Michael will know that in a case like this, the truth may not come from one dramatic confession. It may come from small contradictions that slowly destroy Patty's version of events. Michael's meeting with Christine Blair Romalotti on July 8th could become one of the most important moments in Diane's fight for freedom. Christine, as a prosecutor, has a duty to follow the evidence, but she is also not blind to Genoa City's history. She knows Patty Williams is not just a random witness. She knows Patty's connection to Jack and the chaos Patty has brought into people's lives before. That knowledge could make Christine cautious, but it could also create a complicated conflict. She cannot simply dismiss Patty's accusation because of past behavior, yet she also cannot ignore the possibility that Diane is being framed. Michael will likely walk into that meeting prepared to challenge the entire direction of the investigation. He may argue that Diane is being treated as guilty because her reputation makes her convenient. He may remind Christine that Patty had both emotional motive and direct opportunity. He may point out that Markham's testimony is not neutral, he has personal resentment toward Diane. He may also warn Christine that if the prosecution rushes forward against Diane while Jack remains unable to speak, they may be helping the real criminal silence the truth. Michael is at his best when he is calm but relentless, and in this meeting, he may push Christine to see the danger of building a case on appearances. Christine's decision will not be easy. If the evidence against Diane looks bad, she cannot simply walk away from the case without cause. The public may demand answers, the police may feel pressure to act, and Jack's condition may make the situation emotionally explosive. However, Christine's legal instincts may tell her that something does not fit. Diane finding Jack wounded does not prove Diane attacked him. Patty's accusation does not become reliable just because it is dramatic. Markham's medical title does not erase his personal involvement in Diane's kidnapping nightmare. Christine may have to decide whether to proceed aggressively or slow things down long enough to let Michael investigate. This is the kind of legal tension the young and the restless can use to create real suspense. The question is not only whether Diane is innocent. The question is whether the system will recognize her innocence before Patty and Markham tighten the trap. For Diane, the emotional consequences could be devastating. She may have survived Patty's kidnapping scheme only to find herself accused of stabbing the man she loves. That would feel like a nightmare with no escape. Diane's history means she cannot expect universal sympathy. Some people may believe she is capable of hurting Jack because they never truly accepted her redemption. Others may hesitate, remembering all the times Diane manipulated the truth in the past. That isolation could break her if Michael does not step in quickly. Diane may sit in an interrogation room replaying every moment. Jack on the floor, the blood, Patty's hatred, Markham's strange obsession, Kyle's fear, the police closing in. She may realize that the more she tries to explain, the more desperate she sounds. That is why Michael's presence matters so much. He can give her structure when panic makes her vulnerable. He can tell her when to speak and when to stay silent. He can stop the police from twisting her fear into guilt. Most importantly, he can remind her that being accused is not the same as being defeated. Kyle's role could also be crucial. Diane may call Michael herself, but Kyle may be the one who pushes hardest for legal action once he realizes how badly the situation is turning against his mother. Kyle has been caught between loyalty to Diane and fear for Jack, and this crisis may force him to make a definitive choice. If he believes Diane is innocent, he may become one of Michael's strongest allies. Kyle can provide details about the rescue, Patty's behavior, and what Jack risked to save Diane. He may also be able to expose inconsistencies in Patty's story because he was directly involved in the events leading up to the attack, but Kyle will also be emotionally volatile. His father is injured, his mother is accused, and the real attacker may still be free. Michael may have to manage Kyle carefully, because Kyle's anger could help uncover the truth or damage Diane's defense if he lashes out recklessly. The smartest move would be for Michael to turn Kyle's desperation into useful information instead of letting it explode into confrontation. Jack's condition remains the most powerful and terrifying factor in the case. If Jack wakes up, Diane may finally have the witness she needs. He could say that Patty stabbed him, that Diane was not responsible, and that the entire accusation is a lie. That is exactly why spoilers suggesting Patty will try to silence Jack are so chilling. Patty knows Jack is the key. As long as he remains unconscious, she can manipulate the story. If he wakes, her lie collapses. That may drive her to take another desperate step, perhaps sneaking into the hospital disguised as medical staff, tampering with Jack's treatment, or trying to intimidate him before he can speak. This creates a deadly race against time. Michael may be fighting in legal offices and courtrooms, but Patty may be fighting in the shadows, trying to make sure the truth never reaches the record. The contrast is dramatic. Michael builds arguments, gathers evidence, and appeals to Christine's sense of justice, while Patty operates through fear, disguise, and violence. Diane's freedom may depend on which force reaches Jack first. If Patty attempts to silence Jack, it may also expose her. Dangerous people often make mistakes when they feel cornered, and Patty may be nearing that point. She may have thought framing Diane would be enough, but Jack's survival threatens everything. If she gets too close to his hospital room, there could be security footage. A nurse may notice something strange. Kyle or Billy might walk in at the right moment. Diane herself may see Patty and finally have the proof she needs. Even a failed attempt could be enough to shift the investigation. Michael could use that attempt to argue that the real culprit is still actively trying to control the case. Christine would have to reconsider every assumption. Detective Burrow would have to explain why Patty was able to move around freely while Diane was treated like the primary suspect. Markham, seeing Patty grow unstable, might panic and make his own mistake. The entire frame-up could begin unraveling because Patty cannot resist taking one more step. Markham's role could become the wild card. He may start as Patty's supporting witness, but his loyalty may not hold if the pressure increases. If Michael begins digging into Markham's relationship with Diane, the kidnapping, the drugging, and his possible emotional obsession, Markham's credibility could collapse. Michael may subpoena records, question his medical ethics, and expose his personal involvement. A doctor who helped hold Diane captive or stood by while Patty manipulated Jack cannot easily present himself as an objective witness. If Markham lies under pressure, Michael could trap him in contradictions. If Markham realizes Patty is becoming too dangerous, he may try to distance himself by blaming her. That could give Michael the opening he needs. But Markham may also become more dangerous if he believes Diane ruined his life. He could double down, fabricate details, or try to disappear before Michael can force the truth into the open. Either way, his testimony may look strong at first, but Michael is exactly the kind of lawyer who knows how to turn a polished witness into a liability. The larger emotional drama is that Diane may need Michael to do what Jack cannot yet do: defend her. Jack would stand beside Diane if he were awake. He would fight for her, challenge anyone who accused her, and use every ounce of Abbott power to expose Patty. But Jack is silent, trapped in a hospital bed, unable to protect the woman he loves. That leaves Michael to become Diane's shield. It is a powerful reversal because Michael's fight is not only legal, it is moral. He knows the truth matters, but he also knows the system can be manipulated by people who understand how to plant doubt. Patty is counting on Genoa City's distrust of Diane. Markham is counting on his professional image. The police may be counting on the easiest explanation: Michael must force everyone to look harder. He must make Christine see that justice is not served by punishing the most convenient suspect. He must make the GCPD consider that they have been used. He must make Diane believe that she is not alone. This storyline could also test Diane's own growth. In the past, Diane might have responded to accusation with manipulation, flight, or secrecy. This time, she may have to trust the legal process and trust Michael to guide her through it. That will not be easy. Diane is a survivor, and survivors often want control. But if she makes one wrong move, Patty and Markham could use it against her. Michael may warn her not to confront Patty, not to contact Markham, not to make emotional public statements, and not to give the police anything they can twist. Diane may struggle with that because Jack's life is still on the line. Her instinct will be to fight immediately, loudly, and personally. Michael's job will be to channel that energy into a defense that can actually save her. The tension between Diane's emotional desperation and Michael's legal discipline could create some compelling scenes. Diane may scream that she cannot just sit back while Patty destroys her life. Michael may answer that one uncontrolled move could give Patty exactly what she wants. As the week unfolds, the question becomes whether Michael can perform another miracle. He has done it before, but this case may be uniquely difficult because it combines legal danger with active physical danger. Diane could face charges while Jack remains vulnerable. Patty could keep manipulating the investigation. Markham could strengthen the false narrative. Christine could be trapped between suspicion and procedure. The GCPD could make mistakes that cost Diane precious time. Michael must move quickly, but he must also move carefully. He may need to pressure Christine without alienating her, defend Diane without ignoring her past, expose Patty without relying on assumptions, and discredit Markham without letting him play the victim. That is a narrow path, but Michael Baldwin has built his career walking narrow paths. The most dramatic outcome would be for Michael to begin turning the case around just as Patty escalates. Imagine Michael presenting Christine with new doubts, perhaps evidence that Patty had access to the mansion, or that Markham's timeline does not match the facts. Christine may start to question whether Diane should remain under legal threat. At the same time, Patty may realize her control is slipping and head to the hospital to silence Jack. The legal battle and the physical danger would collide. If Jack wakes up, even briefly, he could confirm Michael's theory. If Patty is caught near Jack, Michael's argument becomes stronger. If Markham panics, he may reveal more than he intends. But if Patty succeeds in keeping Jack silent, Diane's fight becomes far harder. Michael may then have to prove the truth without the one witness who matters most. By the end of this storyline, Diane's innocence may depend on a chain of fragile events: Michael's legal strategy, Christine's willingness to question the evidence, Kyle's loyalty, Jack's survival, and Patty's inevitable mistakes. The danger is that Patty's plan is not based only on lies. It is based on exploiting people's expectations. She expects the police to believe Diane is capable of violence. She expects Markham's status to make him believable. She expects Jack's silence to protect her. She expects Diane's panic to make her look guilty. Michael's task is to break every one of those expectations. He must show that Diane's past does not prove this crime, that Markham's testimony may be poisoned by revenge, that Patty's obsession gives her motive, and that Jack's silence is not evidence against Diane, but the very reason someone is desperate to keep him from waking. The Young and the Restless appears ready to deliver a gripping legal and emotional showdown, with Michael Baldwin standing at the center of the fight to save Diane Jenkins Abbott from a frame-up that could ruin her life. Diane may be accused, frightened, and surrounded by suspicion, but she is not defenseless. Michael knows she could not harm Jack, and he will likely use every legal weapon he has to challenge the case against her. Still, Patty Williams remains a serious threat, especially if she tries to silence Jack before he can reveal the truth. Dr. Markham's possible testimony may make Diane look guilty, but it may also give Michael the chance to expose a deeper conspiracy. Christine Romaloti's decision could determine whether the case moves toward justice or disaster. And Jack Abbott, lying silent in a hospital bed, remains the one person whose voice could change everything. The question is whether Michael can protect Diane long enough for that voice to be heard. If he can, Patty's entire scheme may come crashing down. If he cannot, Diane may pay the price for a crime born from Patty's obsession, Markham's resentment, and Genoa City's willingness to believe the worst before searching for the truth.